Here we go. All right, here we go. 542. We're going to edition of In the Paint. Of course, I'm your host, Earnest Christian, alongside. We got the two amigos are finally back after 2 weeks. Krizmanic, of course. Welcome back.
Howdy.
Zack Degenerate.
What's up?
But I can't get you on football this week. I can just get you on basketball.
Hey, man, you're running from it because I picked the actual Super Bowl a week in advance.
Well, I mean, yeah, you did. Actually, you did. I listened to that playback on the podcast a couple days ago.
I literally sent you a text after just the very first Cleveland game 2 weeks ago.
Hey, nah, you nailed it, dude. You nailed it. And as we're talking about Super Bowl here, congratulations to the guy in the right corner here on the screen, Krizmanic.
Let's go, hooray!
Earnestly Media, and you got two guys involved. Two of them are Bengals fans. Mikey B, of course, and now you.
Bro, since day one.
Since day one too. I known you guys well over 10 years, and you guys have been Bengals fans since I've known you. So this ain't it's pretty cool though. Congrats.
Here.
Huh?
No room for bandwagon fans.
Nah.
You weren't around for John Kitna. You're not around for Joey B.
Hey man, I was just saying before we started recording, somehow, somewhere out there, one of my favorite coaches of all time, Sam Weiss, is smiling. Just saying, I love Sam Weiss as a kid. He was like one of the best coaches to watch on the sidelines. Like when you watch NFL films and stuff, he was probably the best guy to watch. He's hysterical. He interact with players and the referees and stuff. He was great. So again, congrats to the Bengals. You Bengals fans been suffering. I mean, you got to suffer. Just being a Bengals fan, suffering enough, but. Anyway, we got some NBA basketball to talk about here. Let's start first. Joe Ingles. Yeah, you'd be surprised that Joe Ingles actually is a topic on a basketball podcast like this. But Joe Ingles is out for the year. Was it torn ACL or what was it?
Torn ACL.
Torn ACL. And I'm looking at the standings. The Jazz are actually one of the I would say favorites in the West. Although we hear that every year, and then when playoff time comes around, they seem to melt under pressure. But this is a fairly big injury here. I mean, and if you've seen the Grizzlies, continue to put some distance between themselves now. They're now the 3rd seed in the West, and they have a little bit of distance between themselves in Utah. I mean, we still think Utah is one of the formidable teams in the Western Conference, but injury like this, sayonara.
They're a real contender in the West.
Okay.
Are you serious?
What?
They're not a contender in the West. They're going to be a top 4 team no matter what.
Okay.
What is hilarious is, Ernest, you were right. You started it off talking about how are we even talking about this injury? We shouldn't be. This is the 7th guy on the team. All right. Yeah, last year he was huge and probably should have won the 6-man award, but this year his minutes have dropped. His shooting percentages dropped. His scoring has dropped. I mean, he's not as integral to the team as he was, say, last year and the year before.
You know what his value was? An expiring contract that was a great role player that could have netted them a really good player had he still been able to play. You have you have a guy that you have, a glue guy. You try to find maybe some scoring off the bench, and you want to shop him. And you might be able to pluck someone decent now that he's out, kind of like what Indiana's going through with Miles Turner being out as well. They're shopping Miles Turner hard. He gets hurt past the All-Star or the trade deadline. Now you don't know if you're going to be able to trade him. Now,
was he on trade block though, Ingles? I had no idea.
He was, man. Anybody on the last year of their deal will always be a trade piece, especially
still be that trade piece. You can still trade him. As you say, it's an expiring contract. Certain teams are going to want the contract no matter what.
But you could pluck a decent player off a winning team. It cuts down your market to just guys who are trying to rebuild. The rebuilding teams will like to get an albatross of a contract off their hands. So now the Utah Jazz have to take on a worse contract. When you have a guy who's playing well and getting paid and you could swap him out for somebody, it makes sense. Now you're cutting it down to just the really bad team. The really bad teams with a gunner, they're trying to get rid of that contract. It's for like 2 or 3 years. We'll take on the injured guy and just waive him as soon as we get him. It's different. You do cut down on teams that you can, trade to. But Utah's window's closed. They have never had a chance.
It's closing, definitely. And here's another thing, too, within the season now. That 4 seed ain't guaranteed anymore. Denver is getting hot now. Denver is now only 2 games behind, game behind now, and they still got Jamal Murray coming back soon.
You got it's as if you guys just hate Utah and just want to shit on them.
I'm not trying to hate them.
They've been a top 4 seed for years now. Since Donovan Mitchell has tied his shoelaces, they have been a top 4 seed for that team.
Oh, he's amazing. Don't get me wrong. Donovan Mitchell.
I don't know how you interpret that as me hating. I'm just giving you what's going on. I'm not even saying that they're not. I didn't say they weren't. I think they were one of the formidable teams in the Western Conference. But the problem is now you have Denver starting to get hot. Dallas is playing good basketball, even though they haven't got Luka. He's been out in the lineup. So at some point, does this? I mean, I know it's Joe Ingles. It's not necessarily Rudy Gobert. It's not necessarily Donovan Mitchell or one of those guys. But Ingles has been a pretty important piece to this team, in the last couple of years.
He was, since they got Jordan Clarkson, them two have been 6A and 6B in terms of 6-man. Like, they're both equally as important a 6-man to the team. So he is a very integral part of their rotation. But, at the end of the day, the Utah Jazz just scream like prime Atlanta Hawks to me. Like, just, they're going to be a top seed in their conference. They make it to conference, but they'll lose every single time. Second round.
I'm with you on that one. I don't know. Did someone in this panel had Utah go in the finals, right?
Yes, me.
Thinking, I know what you're thinking about, buddy.
Oh wait, didn't you take Denver?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Don't play.
Can we look at the standings? Who's ahead of who?
I just said, the only game back. They're getting hot now.
Yeah. You're talking about a 7th guy on my bench versus acting like your team's something special right now.
Well,
quiet.
My team's number.
Be quiet.
Hold on, my team is number 1 in the Eastern Conference, so let's not go there right now.
I don't remember you picking them to be in the finals.
No, because
I don't even think I remember you picking them in the conference finals. So sit down, be quiet.
Okay.
As of this podcast, the Heat are number 2 seed, so stop it.
Well, they're playing Toronto right now, up by 12 at halftime, so they'll hold to get that spot back. Let me check real quick, make sure. Anyway, so you basically said that regardless, are you sticking to Utah pick, Zach?
Yes, because this injury doesn't mean anything. Look, last year, it would have meant a lot more. But again, even his minutes are down. When you lose playing time, there's a reason, and it's because he does nothing on the defensive end. This might actually help the team losing him, because now you bring up a younger, hungrier guy who's willing to play defense.
Fair point. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see your pick.
I don't know. Jared Butler is coming off the bench and filling that spot in, or Daniel House, who's essentially going to get signed now because he's on another 10-day contract, so he'll fill that spot. And maybe Eric Paschall fills way more minutes and is a better glue guy, but I don't see it.
By the way, as recording, the Heat are number 2, but they're literally 0.006% behind Chicago.
They're one back on the loss column, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, but they have one win in the win column. So
yeah,
just saying, this game managers, buddy. It is what it is. We sit there and bitch about that, but there's one team in this league who still has not gotten double-digit losses yet. The Phoenix Suns. 40-9 as a recording. I know tonight they're playing Brooklyn. They should win that game though, because Brooklyn's banged up anyway. But the Suns, 10-game winning streak as a recording. Again, we talk about teams that, from last year that could carry over, and clearly this is real. And we'll get to the topic about Chris Paul show, because this will fit the narrative there. But Suns 10-game winning streak. Are you guys comfortable saying the Suns are the favorites to win the West now, or is this all just regular season stuff and let's do it in playoffs? Where's your heads on the Suns?
I don't know if they're still the number 1 seed out of the West. All right. As Golden State gets better, as Klay Thompson adjusts, he's been there for 5 games, 6 games now. It's gonna make a difference, especially come playoff time. But I think you have to consider them a top 4 team to win the championship no matter what now. Like, there's no weakness on the team where you can say, oh, they can get exploited during the playoffs against bigs. Or guards can tear them up through their defense. They're a perfectly built team.
They really are.
They can get it done down low. They can get it done outside. And we'll get into this in a second, but Devin Booker is the most snubbed guy on the All-Star roster. And
Oh, yeah.
just he does not get the love he deserves, like,
Why,
at all.
No. Why is that, you think?
Chris Paul.
No,
Soon as
that
Chris
they're
Paul
not
joined the team, his shine disappeared.
That's it. Western time, Pacific time zone bias. No one gets to see him on TV. The whole east side of the country doesn't really get to see him like ball out.
People praised him as a ball handler and scorer before Chris Paul got there.
Zach, what
literally because Chris Paul got there.
Zach,
now all the praise has to be heaped
Zach,
on
what
Chris
did
Paul.
you say 2 years ago that he was the most overrated player in basketball?
Yes, because he was shooting under 40% from three, under 50% from the field in general.
He was also
a shooter.
The most double team player in the league. Don't forget that. Because he was the only guy on those shitty. He was not a volume guy. That game, when you put people don't even, if you ask somebody who the last person to score 70 points was, they would never say Devin Booker.
Because I've seen him miss as many shots as he took in that game to score 70. So yes, he is a volume shooter. He's gotten better. Yes, but that's because he's taken better shots because of Chris Paul.
Exactly.
When it was up to him and he was the guy who controlled the ball, he was taking bad shots. He was a volume scorer like Carmelo.
Do you think? I mean, look, they're in the finals last year. I still have questions, even though it's just a very good built team, and obviously they kind of remind me of the Pistons in 2004, a little bit. No real superstar necessarily. Like, I guess called Booker a star, superstar, want to call it, or whatever. But I mean, Chris Paul. It was 10 years ago. Would have been saying Chris Paul was a superstar, but Chris Paul, age 37. I mean, he's still a star, obviously, but not the same. Could be the same guy, but it's kind of has like a all hands in kind of type of team.
I think they got 2 stars. I don't know of anyone who doesn't think of Booker as at least a star in the league.
He's definitely a star, but as you just said though, getting somebody as an all-star starter,
Yeah.
Well, is he gonna go ahead of Curry? No, he's just not.
Yeah, I don't know if we can. We'll get to the list in a second. I know some of these guys, maybe one guy in this list, because she's probably go for. We'll get there in a second. Let's get there now, actually. All-star selection starters were announced last week. Let's go to the East first. No surprises here, really, other than maybe one, but honestly, the year he's having, he deserves it. You have Kevin Durant, you have Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, Trae Young, and DeMar DeRozan. Now, Kevin Durant probably won't be playing this game most likely, so he'll probably be replaced. But really, this is not really a surprise. I mean, Trae, despite the bad year for the Hawks right now, Trae Young is still Trae Young. So
you got to put some of the onus on the team's horrible regression on him.
Of course, it's a star. Maybe his hand.
So I don't think he should be in. I mean, there's just clearly a few guys that could easily be ahead of him.
So you would take
Bradley Beal ahead of him.
Yeah, I mean Bradley Beal had it. Well, I mean their team. They
was too. In Washington early in the season.
I think Lane's got to be up there for sure. His efficiency is off the charts since he's deferred to DeMar DeRozan. He's still averaging a gang of points, and he's doing great, but his efficiency is off the charts right now.
So your one issue is just Trae Young, right? Of this 5 here.
I think he definitely should not be on the All-Star. No, not at all.
The other 4 are fine?
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough because Durant put up enough in the sample size, but he's clearly going to be out for God knows when, well into the All-Star game. So I don't know why you.
He's top vote getter too. On top of that, I mean, DeMar DeRozan deserves it. He's had an MVP year right now. Joel Embiid is catching on now, especially the last like couple weeks. Giannis is Giannis, arguably the best player in basketball.
Mhm.
So I don't have any issue. I mean, Trae Young is probably one guy I can go back and forth with. I'm surprised there's no guys from the Heat on this list. But then again, Bam missed time, Jimmy missed time. So Heat fans are mad about that. It's too bad. Is what it is.
If I want to go squarely for point guard, I would almost put Darius Garland ahead of Trae Young just because he's got the Cavs so high with no Colin Sexton, without with a young squad. I would put him ahead of Trae Young at this point.
Even Mobley missed like 10 games. So to do what he did, yeah, I agree with you, Kris.
Dude, the Cavs are on a fucking roll, dude. 4th seed right now in the East. I mean, they're one back of number 1 in the East. I mean, this is sick, dude. What they're doing, it's
So
really
like,
and
for me,
that'd be down too.
I would easily put him if you're just gonna slot like nowadays with the All-Star game, they just do straight guards. So you're gonna have 2 shooting guards in there. They don't care about positionally anymore. But if you want to go straight point guard for point guard, I think Garland, I would put him ahead of Trae Young right now.
Right. All right, let's go to the West now. The West, no surprise really except for one. Of course, LeBron James, no surprise there. Nikola Jokic, Steph Curry, no surprise there. I love that John Morant made it as a starter. I was worried about that. I'm so glad he got in. But this last guy here is a controversial one. Andrew Wiggins.
Well, you know why he's the All-Star starter, right?
BTS.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Golden State votes a lot, yeah, but
Well, BTS.
No,
here's the reality though.
Boy band.
that K-pop
When
band.
you start looking at the small forwards in the Western Conference, there's not a lot of quality small forwards.
Yeah, you made a
About the only one you could even justify putting in front of him was Anthony Edwards from Minnesota.
You can call Booker a wing and then put him right there as well. So
yeah. So do you guys?
He doesn't want to be called a forward, so that's on him for wanting to be a guard.
Let's go there real quick then. Is there okay? Obviously, you guys don't have any problem with LeBron, Jokic, Curry, and Ja starters, right?
Yeah, no, not at all.
All 4 of those guys starters, no problem. Wiggins now, however, do you think Andrew Wiggins deserves to make the starting lineup?
No, of course not.
If you're going by small forward position, yes, he does. There was only one other small forward in the Western Conference that has played better than him all season. That's it. One small forward.
Luka is a huge upgrade. I mean, my God.
Luka missed too much time. If you're okay, is it going to be the All-Star game or is it going to be the name game?
No, it's just impact. I mean, he's like 25-9. Like
this is split 3 ways though. This is 33% fans, 30% coaches, 33% fans, players, right? So fans, if you leave it in the fans' hands to do this shit, you're gonna get the same old every year. So I kind of appreciate a little bit of a swerve here. I'm not saying he deserves to be in here, but I can appreciate a little bit of this just because of the fact that, it can be easy to vote in Luka. He's missed most of the year. It can be easy to vote another guy that,
you couldn't even put a front court guy in there unless you're playing 2 centers with LeBron. All right, that's how the West is built now.
Yeah,
it is all centers. LeBron's gonna be there even in a wheelchair at power forward because there are no power forwards. And literally, there's only 2 or 3 small forwards that can compete for an all-star position. It's a guard league now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, now let me ask you this: does Wiggins deserve to be an all-star in general?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we can definitely. I mean, like I said, I haven't watched enough Warriors games in detail to really assess Wiggins as a starter. I know he's having a fantastic year. Obviously, I think a lot of that has to do with Steph Curry too, especially lifting guys up, making guys better. Playing that environment.
Let's just remember, Steph Curry isn't the greatest shooter every night. He has a lot of bad nights.
Oh, we know.
They were still winning a lot of games.
Yeah. I mean, Andrew Wiggins impactfully is not. He's getting done 2 ways, but I mean, you just look at the stat wise, it's kind of tough. I mean, Man, averages 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Like,
Yeah, but look at who he plays on defense. He's covering the best guy under 6'8" every time right now.
and he fits the scheme very well there.
He does. He really does. I do wonder with Clay back, and as Clay gets into the motion and start getting back into the lineup, if that will take away Wiggins' ceiling a little bit, if you will.
No.
All I know is that's going to be a scary defense with Clay back. Once Clay's all the way back and feeling
Big stop, for sure.
I'm still thinking Golden State, as great as Phoenix has been this year, you ask me now, 7-game series in playoffs in May, I'm taking Golden State in 6.
I don't know.
Over the Suns, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all they're going to face.
Absolutely. With all those weapons there, unless Steph Curry has like multiple bad shooting games, but I really can't see that like that in the playoffs.
Can punish Draymond enough for them to have to do something about it.
We'll see. Most anticipated series of the year. I mean, with big things are going. All right, last topic to go. Last topic. We're gonna do it. We're rolling back to the Phoenix thing, and we're talking about Chris Paul. I don't remember who sent me a text saying or asking me if you think Chris Paul is the top 5 point guard all time. But it got me thinking, well, let's just bring it to the guys on the next podcast. Chris Paul and what he's done. You know, he's played on like 6 different teams. New Orleans, the Clippers, the Thunder, the Rockets, the Suns. Who am I missing? It's 5, I guess, right?
I think that's it.
That's it. 5 teams.
So 5 teams, and he's gotten 1 finals appearance.
Yeah, so let's just debate this. Chris Paul is a top 5 point guard all time? And if he, I mean, I guess you want to really list also too what your top 5 looks like. You guys.
Sure. Who wants to go first?
I mean, you want me to start us off? I mean, Chris Paul. I don't know if it's legitimately like lock, sealed, and delivered. I have a hard time saying no.
There's no way.
So
I will take over.
Okay.
I'll help everyone. All right. Pre-1980, who are the greatest point guards of all time?
So you got Bob Cousy.
Bob Cousy and Oscar, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about Walt Frazier?
He was definitely not top 2. He might be number 3.
Easy to say pre to 80. I'm just throwing out names up here.
And the fact he's with the Knicks.
What about Bogo?
Who? Oh, Jerry was a shooting guard.
Huh?
Jerry was a shooting guard. He wasn't a point guard.
So you take those 2 guys, then you go from 1980 on. You look at Magic, who Kris doesn't even believe is a point guard, even though he runs the offense
Power forwards,
of
bro.
a team.
Guarded power forward.
Then you have the guy who leads the NBA history in steals and assists in John Stockton. Right? I mean, if you're the all-time assist guy, all-time steals guy, went back to back-to-back finals, shouldn't you deserve top 5 status? Well, and then let's take another team who went to back-to-back finals. Your boy. From Detroit.
No. He went to back-to-back finals. Lost the first one, won the next 2.
There you go. 1 back-to-back final. So you have those 5 that we have just barely grazed talking about. And people want to utter Chris Paul because he got to 1 finals and could make the playoffs with the Clippers. Or he could make the playoffs with OKC in 1 year. Oh my God, first round.
Yeah.
Look, he's not a top 5 point guard. It's just that simple.
Okay. Kris, go ahead.
Easy. It should be a discussion if he's the greatest of all time at that position. Not even close.
How do you even justify him being the greatest of all time? Is it the lack of playoff
not even
wins?
Bob Cousy, who had like 17 Hall of Famers on his team. We're not going to throw him in there. Big O was tough because he stat god, but solid defensive player, so he's up there. Big O's way up there. Isaiah's career too short, man. Career way too short to be
The impact.
Heavy. Oh my God! So all you have to do is play long. You don't have to dominate ever. Never dominate. Never lead your team.
Say in majority of Chris Paul's career, he was the best point guard in the league.
No, he was never.
So
Jason Kidd.
So in
Steve Nash.
Wait. So Chris Paul came in 2005, right? 2005.
4.
Okay. So from 4 to 10, I would say Steve Nash was probably number 1 a chunk of that time. I would say besides Steve Nash,
Jason Kidd and Steve Nash were number 1 for half his career.
No, Jason Kidd at that point started to tail off at that point.
He was taking teams to the finals.
Yeah, but he wasn't a top point guard in the league. I mean, it's amazing, but
JJ in the Nets like early on was.
But that's we're talking about pre 2005. We're talking about 2005 on. We're talking about here. We're talking about 2000 pre 2005.
Pretty much, it was CP3 and Darren Williams for those like.
That was a fun time. Remember, it was a good 2-3 year period where we thought Darren Williams was probably the best point guard in the league. And he was pretty good in Utah.
He was a dominant.
Those two guys are pretty much top 2 in the league for quite a while until Darren Williams off.
Yeah. Okay, so here's my. Okay, so this is the thing with my list. I have a lock 4, a lock 4. You know, you can argue the order, whatever it may be, but I have 4 guys who, no matter what you argue the order, they're in the top 4. Magic, Steph Curry, Isaiah Thomas, and John Stockton. Those are lock 4. You can't move any of those guys out of the list. That's my opinion. So for me, the real argument is number 5. Now, to me, you're really considering. Go ahead, Zach. What are you gonna say?
It's like for you, the NBA did not count before 1980.
So here's my argument. Here's my argument. This is not an argument against Big O at all. I don't know if I even consider him a point guard. To me, he was so much bigger than just being a point guard. Like, to me, he's.
But you give that to Magic?
Give it to Magic. At least Magic
was a point
guards or guards, period.
Magic was a point guard, though. That was those. You're arguing about defensively if he wasn't a point guard. Obviously, the point guard.
Ernest.
Oscar even guarded guards.
Yes, Oscar guarded guards. Magic.
So disrespectful.
Just because you bring the ball up the floor and orchestrate the offense does not mean you're a point guard.
Really?
Wait.
Yeah. Has LeBron ever been considered a point guard in his career?
What's the definition of a point guard, Kris?
It's the position.
But so like you have shooting guard. Their whole purpose is to shoot, not to run the offense, but to shoot.
Yeah, but Magic Johnson, for example, like a lot of it too, also the fact he was 6'9", he didn't guard point guards because he was better suited to be under.
They played Byron Scott and Michael Cooper his entire career. Two other guards.
So smart.
Real guards.
Magic played nearer to the basket on defense because it benefited that team.
All right.
Yeah.
So I have a better question for you.
Power forwards.
How in the world could you put Chris Paul ahead of Steph Curry?
Right now, at this point in their careers.
Well, we had this argument in November.
All of Chris Paul's career.
Wait a second. We had this argument.
Who has 3 championships? Who's been to 5 finals? Who's got scoring titles?
KD carried them for 2. But keep going.
Wait, KD carried a team that won 73 games and went
to
take
up the 2 then. It doesn't matter. I mean, Zack is right on this argument. That part, we did it on the 25 last 25 years argument, and you have Chris Paul, number 6?
I had 6 and 7 for Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Steph Curry's right on his heels, right there.
Curry passed him a couple years.
3 finals, 3 championships, 5 finals, 2 MVPs versus Chris Paul, who has never even finished number 2 in MVP. Only been to 1 final.
Did Steph Curry win a Finals MVP yet?
No.
Wait,
did he
Steph
ever
Curry's
show up big time
MVP,
in the finals for
better than a guy who's only been to 1 finals?
He is shown.
So
the one
Curry
thing I'll say.
Wait, no, Kris, you're saying Curry has to win 4 finals, win a Finals MVP,
no,
2 MVPs to be better than Chris Paul.
all he has to do
Like,
is
that's just
do
insane.
like 3 more years, and he's already passed them. If he just status quo, he doesn't even do anything else in the postseason. But right now, his career is a little short. He was injury marred for first.
Whose career is a little short?
Steph Curry's.
Steph Curry, again, 5 finals.
A little
5
short.
finals.
Like 12 years, 13 years now.
Yeah, how many years he missed? 3 years ago he missed an entire season. The first 3 years of his career was just on and off, missing tons of 50 game chunks left and right.
Okay, so I gotta ask. It's not a basketball question.
Go ahead.
But I mean, Flacco managed to take a team to a Super Bowl and not have any turnovers one year when he won the Super Bowl. So if we're going by Chris Paul logic, are we saying Flacco's the greatest quarterback in history?
No one ever said that.
Oh, okay. So in the only position, in your opinion, is Chris Paul. Chris Paul is the only guy who doesn't have to actually win in order to be the greatest.
No, because he's proven that he can win no matter where.
My position on this whole thing, I'm in the middle of you guys. Like, I don't agree with Zack calling Chris Paul like that he sucks. And I'm not.
I'm saying he's 8th or 9th all time.
No.
8th or 9th all time is not saying he sucks.
So my list goes Magic, Steph, Zeke, Stockton. I would consider I could consider Chris Paul number 5. Consider it. I don't know if I can pull the trigger though. I don't know, because here's the guys you got to consider. Okay, so even if we bring back Big O in the conversation, I explain my Big O position, of course. Don't know
if you have back, you have to put Big O there. You can't do one or the other.
But again, Kris, you can't put Jason Kidd ahead of him, and yet Jason Kidd took the Nets to what? 2 finals. Yeah. Took the Mavs to a final when he was old. Yet Chris Paul's better than him. Steve Nash won back-to-back MVPs. Took the team to a Western Conference final when the West was by far the dominant league.
But that's the thing. That Chris Paul, the hard part of Chris Paul is that his time. Well, he's played the West his entire career.
And didn't ever do anything until last year. I
disagree with that. No, because he had Houston on the doorstep of beating the Durant Warriors, and he gets hurt.
No, he didn't. James Harden did.
Stop.
You're gonna really say it was Chris Paul after what James Harden did the year before in Houston? James Harden does all this stuff in
the
Houston.
Year before they lost.
He wasn't the reason why Houston was winning.
The year before he lost the 5 games to Golden State, though. What are we doing here?
Here's the one thing you guys do not forget. You guys remember, and that is there's 2 sides of the ball, and there's none of those guys that you have on your list have even made an all-defensive team.
Wait, like John Stockton never made an all-defensive team?
John Stockton was the only guy, but he also was not a primary scorer.
Did Isaiah make one?
Huh?
Did Isaiah make one also, too?
Yeah.
No.
I gotta check that stat. Let me check that real quick. Keep talking. I'm gonna check that real quick because Isaiah was one of the better guys at steals. He was actually one of the better defenders in the league in his heyday. Keep talking.
No, so when you consider most of the guys, I mean, Magic far and away just one-way player. Just there's a lot of guys. The guys who rank highly, except for John Stockton, who isn't that. You're giving away passwords, Zach. Gotta watch out.
I'm checking for the defense thing. But yeah, it looks like
not guys who are great 2-way players in that position. So the fact that he slipped in so many defensive teams is key. A lot of guys don't remember. You gotta play 2 ways to be on the all-time list.
But him playing 2 ways didn't get him far. He got far one time in his career, correct? One time.
And unfortunately, with Stockton, the whole one team, him and Carl to the end type thing is always going to hurt him in the end. He's really good. Stockton's
Stockton is number 2 or 3 ever.
No, 4.
Because
I'm not putting him
But
at
there's
Zeke.
really a fight between Curry and Magic for 1.
Zeke.
Zeke is 4.
No.
Zeke. Chris too short, man.
Name me a guy that beat Bird, Jordan, Magic to win titles. I'll wait for that one. He's the only one.
He was the best player on those teams.
He changed his game too also to make that team work.
And
he was the leader.
Here's how far, Ernest. I'll give you. He's in the conversation for 3rd between Stockton.
He was number 2 for a long time till a couple years ago. So I don't know where we're going with this one. I mean,
because Curry moved ahead of him.
So now he's 3.
It's Magic, Curry, and then I'll let you decide.
Isaiah.
You can put Zeke 3, Stockton 4.
Zeke 3.
And then you have to have Oscar 5. Because otherwise you're saying the NBA doesn't matter before 1980.
No, I mean, if we're going to establish Big O as a point guard, then I'm agree with you that he should be number 5, at least in the top 5.
We have to, because we established Magic was a point guard.
Right.
And Big O was smaller than Magic.
It was 6'5", 6'6", I think it was.
Yes.
Enough much Chris Paul is and how great his 4th quarter stats are.
No, I'm not Chris Paul.
I know. They're just as great as his playoff stats.
This is where I stand in the argument. You can definitely consider Chris Paul in the top 5.
No, stop.
The problem is, are you willing to take out Jason Kidd? Are you willing to take out Gary Payton? Are you willing to take out Steve Nash? That's the argument. And then Big O, because I'm not putting Chris Paul ahead of Isaiah Thomas or Steph Curry or Johnson.
Here's the reality. Every time you try and say he's top 5, you're making it sound like there's a thought that he could be 1, 2, 3, or 4. He can't. He is 5th to 10th. All right. So you say he's top 10 or top 8, but he's not top 5 because he doesn't make the top 4 at all. He doesn't make my top 5. He doesn't even compete to be in the top 5.
Okay. Well, here's what I would do. If we're all acknowledging Big O, and it's funny how Big O is now in this discussion now. Big O is at least number 4. I got Big O ahead of Stockton. Let's just go there.
He's an all-around playmaker.
Let's go there right now. Big O ahead of Stockton.
But Stockton's got like 11 all-defensive teams.
11?
Come on, Kris.
Oh yeah, he's a stud. Stockton's.
Dude, he went every year, all-star, all-defense. It was just back and forth all year for him.
Now the question is this, though. Are we valuing that over the 1 ring that Oscar has?
Oscar played on some shitty Cincinnati teams until he got to Milwaukee. Once he established a second great player, he automatically won a championship.
Yeah, which is Kareem, arguably the greatest player of all time, arguably. Yeah. I'm a top 3.
But those are
Stockton had to deal with the dream in Houston and then go to the finals and compete against Jordan. So I would say making it to back-to-back finals is a pretty huge accomplishment.
Against Michael Jordan? Yep.
Yeah. Michael Jordan.
Whereas you can take half of Chris Paul's career and the West was any team that could make it.
It's funny, like if Utah wins just 1 title over Jordan, 1 title, this conversation.
Karl Malone goes into
the legacy of Malone and Stockton changes dramatically. And look, they get the respect. They get the respect still, even so without a ring. But man, if they beat Jordan, won those 2 finals, and they could have. My God, the conversation about Stockton and Malone, because people forget Karl Malone's number 2 all time in scoring.
Yeah, but Malone gets so much flack for his off the field stuff that it's really tough.
No doubt about that. I'm just saying.
I didn't even know he had off field stuff.
So he's banging 15-year-olds. Like he'll never be
14-year-olds. I think.
Yeah, he'll never be whispered amongst the greats because of that. Like
he's also a piece of shit human being too. He fucking like his kids.
So like. He will always be way down there. Like the media will always keep him down, which is right. But he benefited from having Stockton set him up his entire career. I mean,
I'm gonna
fucking roll dunk. But.
So in closing of this podcast, real quick, I'm gonna say no.
We have to hear Kris's top 5.
Go ahead before you go. Is it
big old Chris Paul, Steph Curry,
Magic.
John Stockton. No, Magic's not a point guard, bro. He's a point forward.
Isaiah at least.
Isaiah probably comes in at 5 for me. Yeah.
Oh.
Short career, man. Short career.
So if I'm going to use Big O as the
So
only.
then who's your forward? Nash or Kidd?
No, it was Stockton.
Stockton 4. Paul was 1.
No, Paul was number 2 on Big O. But
Okay.
Big O was solid. He didn't make no all, but back then they didn't really track stats like that.
Right. Right.
But he defended guards and did it pretty good. So he was never a liability.
I'll go Magic, Steph, Zeke, Stockton, and Big O. 1 through 5. Put some respect on Zeke's name, buddy. Is that what's your 5?
Gonna be Magic, Curry, Stockton, Zeke, and Big O.
So we got the same 5. This little modifications there.
Gotta give a little love to the white guy.
A little bit of love, yeah. He's anti-vaxxer too. Oh well. It's what it is. Anyway, guys, good podcast as always, man. We'll do this hopefully in the next week or two. Oh, we'll see you also too on the Football's Awesome podcast next week for the prop bets session. All degenerates out there. So.
Jamar Chase, 120 yards.
Yes, sir.
I don't know about that.